Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. It is time for our monthly edition of What's New at Ancestry. This is for October 2016. We're going to start with just a brief recap of some of the events coming up this month specifically, and then we're going to talk about some of the new content available on Ancestry. So let's go ahead and dive in. Like I said, we're going to start off with a look at what's going on around Ancestry this month. If you're not familiar with the fact, October is Family History Month. And so we've got a lot of really great things going on this month. This coming weekend, the 7th through the 9th of October, is our Find a Grave Community Weekend. We're encouraging everybody in the genealogy community to get out and to get on Find a Grave, look and see what cemetery requests have been placed, what requests for tombstone photos. The weather in most places is pretty gorgeous this weekend, and so we've got a lot of people headed out to some meetups in some cemeteries. To learn more about that, if you visit the Ancestry blog, and the URL for that is blogs.ancestry.com, you're going to see that there is a post there for Family History Month, and in there we have a link for the Find a Grave Community Weekend. You can learn more about it, about how to get involved, how to sign up, and what you can do to participate in that. We've done this for a couple of years now, and it's always a really great weekend. Also this weekend, this coming Saturday, there is a genealogy conference in St. Louis. I'll be presenting at that all day long. You can learn more about that in our blog post. The following weekend, the 13th through the 15th of October, is the African American Historical and Genealogical Society's annual conference. That's going to be in Atlanta. You can find a link for more information about that in our blog post. In Allen County Public Library, if you're not familiar with it, it's in Allen County, Indiana. It's this, in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is Allen County. It is the second largest genealogical library in the world, and Ancestry will have a presence there. And then the same day, the 15th of October, there's going to be a genealogy day at the San Diego History Center. You can go check that out. Also, at the end of the month, on the 29th of October, Ancestry will be at the Fairfax Genealogical Society. So be sure to check out that blog post about Family History Month. There's links to each of these events if you are in St. Louis or Atlanta or near Allen County, Indiana, San Diego, or Fairfax, Virginia. You can participate in any one of those events, and then any of you can participate in the Find a Grave event from wherever you may be. Lots going on. Hope you will get out and get involved in the genealogy community. Now let's talk about content. We've released quite a few records this past month, 75 million or more to be exact, and they are for 14 different countries. Now, if you've never looked to see where the new content can be found, I'll just show you really quickly. On Ancestry, let me make that a little bigger for you. If you click on Search and go down to the card catalog, that's going to show you all of the databases available on Ancestry. Then, if you come over here to the Sort, you can sort it by date added, and it will put all of the new content at the top of the list. So that's how the card catalog functions. Now, let's just talk about some of the collections that we've released this month. The Netherlands, we've got civil registration for the Netherlands. Civil registration, if you're not familiar, is the government registration of births, marriages, and deaths. And we call it civil registration to differentiate it from church registration. So for hundreds of years, a lot of churches, the Catholic Church, the Church of England, so on, have registered baptisms, marriages, and burials. Civil registration then records births, marriages, and deaths. So I can come in here to the card catalog, and I can type in Netherlands. And again, if I want to sort it by date added so that the new stuff is at the top of the list, you're going to see that Ancestry has added several million records this month for the Netherlands. Most of these records date back to 1811. That's when civil registration generally began, but you'll notice there are a few regions in the Netherlands where civil registration began a little earlier. Now, again, there's privacy laws on some of these collections, so they only go up through specific years, the 1940s, 1950s typically. But really great large collections of records. Keep in mind most of these records are not going to be in English, they are going to be in Dutch. And so if you do not speak Dutch, I would recommend that you use Google Translate and just translate a few key genealogical words, and you'll discover you can still probably do some work in these records. I work all the time in foreign language records where I do not speak the language, because most often, especially with civil registration records, the records are going to be very cleanly in forms that are very specific and that ask very specific questions. And once you can figure out, that this column means name and this column means father and this column means mother and this column, once you figure that out, you can work with those records pretty readily. We also released a large collection of Oxfordshire England records this month. So if I come in here again, you just type in Oxfordshire and you'll see that there are several databases listed there. Now, like I was mentioning, there's a difference between civil registration and church registration. These are Church of England records, specifically baptisms, marriages, and burials, and they date back to the 1500s, 1538 in this case. The Church of England started keeping those marriage records very early, and they go through the 1960s. So a lot of time span there if you've got family from that particular region. Now, we have some new records coming in, and this is exciting, from South America. So we have some civil registration records that are coming in from Peru specifically. So that's always exciting. I know a lot of people are anxious for records out of Central and South America, and we're starting to get some of these and the ability to put them online. You'll see here this is civil registration, however, only from 1903 to 1998 for this particular region, 1889 through 1997 for this region, and 1889 through 1997 for this region. One of the challenges with civil registration in general, and this is true in the United States, it's true in a lot of Central and South American countries, is that the governments did not record records very early. That's why we use church records so frequently, is because churches oftentimes have been recording records for hundreds of years, whereas governments have only been recording this information in some cases for a century or less. So there are states in the United States where that's even the case, where they didn't start keeping civil registration records in the United States in some states until the 1930s. So just be aware that records exist, but that they don't always go back very far. The good news is that they do come down into the 1990s, so that's exciting to know that you've got that availability for you. Now, I know a lot of people have German ancestry. As a matter of fact, here in the United States, it's one of the top ancestries of individuals is German. And so we've got some Germany birth, marriage, and death records. Now, Germany, unlike England or some of the other areas of the world, Germany has different regions around the country, and those vital records are kept by region. So in order to research your German ancestry, you really need to know where in Germany your family is from. And if you haven't figured that out yet, you need to do a little bit more research in your US records or in your Canadian records before you can take your family back across the pond. Because as you can see here, most of the German records are broken out by town or by region. And so you know which database to search in, you're going to need to know where in Germany your family is from. Now, you can do a global search for Germany, but you're going to be more effective if you understand where they came from, and you're going to be more likely to connect with the correct people if you know where they came from. So we've got lots of marriages and births, some death records. They date back to the mid-1800s. We do have some residence registers. That's a record set that most of you might not be familiar with, but in a lot of places in the world, anytime you move, you register locally with the local authorities about where you came from, and when you leave, you actually register that you are leaving the area, and it's just a way to keep track of people. We have a lot of records from South Africa this month, which is also really exciting. South Africa has some great genealogical records, and Ancestry has been able to put some of these online. Some Church of the Province of South Africa parish registers in particular. They date back to 1801 and they go through 2004. There's only about 750,000 of them in this collection, but it is enough to get you started if you have family from there. And then of course some cemetery records for a particular cemetery in Cape Town. Finally, we do have some Colonial US records that are going online, and that's always exciting for me personally. I struggle a little bit to research my Irish families and my German families, and I continue to work through some of those brick walls. But my colonial family, sometimes I feel like, well, the research has been all done, and that might be true, but I still love to learn about them. And so there's this publication here. It's a 7-volume set called Colonial Families of the United States of America, and it is a republication of that 7-volume set. It has 119,000 records in it, and I am sure some of my family members are listed in there from colonial times. And it's always interesting to learn more about their particular lives. Now, as I've been going through this card catalog, I hope that you've caught on to how I use the card catalog. It's my favorite resource. It's one of the greatest resources available on Ancestry. It's a quick, easy way just to see what's available, what's not available, what's new. You can quickly get to specific databases in order to search them. And sometimes you can just come in and type in the name of a specific country or state or region in order to see what records are available specific to that location. So be sure to use the card catalog to keep up with what's new on Ancestry, to see what new records are being added that you might not have searched. Remember, Ancestry is adding an average of 2 million new records online every single day, which means if you've searched before, you might want to try searching again, because you never know what record about your family member may have come online in the last few days since you last checked that card catalog. Well, that's all I have prepared for you today. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.